Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Van Tine here with Ted Ings. Today we are at the Niello Company in Sacramento, California. And Ted, right now we're talking specifically about customer data platforms and what specific pieces are most important to successful fixed operations today.
We have an amazing panel here. Like everybody, if you would just introduce themselves to the audience and tell us who you are and what you do, starting with Rafi.
I'm Gaurav Sharma. I'm the co-founder and chief product and strategy officer for MyKarma.
I'm Dennis Gingrich. I'm the variable operations director, crashing the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
That is correct. Tully Williams, and you know what? The Niello Company was founded in Fixed.
Dave Anderson, CEO and founder of Inflow.
Matt Leone, CEO of DriveCentric.
Matt, I want to come to you first. Customer data platforms, or CDPs, has become one of the biggest topics in automotive. For dealers who may still be trying to understand it, what is a CDP and how is it different from a CRM, DMS, or other systems dealerships use already?
That's a great question. I'll start with the DMS. I look at the DMS as your system of record for your financial statements, your tax, your compliance. But I look at the CRM as the customer database. And I believe in a world where CRM and CDP should be merged into one singular platform, where if you're managing a customer and you're driving revenue outcomes and you're focused on using that data to fuel AI, fuel your agents, and also fuel your teams that are talking to customers, it should be one platform. And the CDP is just meant to be, well, I want that data in my platform to be cleansed, enriched, and usable, that it's AI ready. Why isn't your CRM doing that for you? And so you merge those two. Now you have two fundamental platforms in your dealership, one for your accounting, your tax, and one for engaging with customers and driving revenue outcomes. Every other industry has this model. I think it's eventually that the auto industry has adopted this model, and I think it's the future where we head in this sort of category.
And Dave, you've experienced this with other verticals. How are you seeing this coming into the automotive industry?
Yeah, so I worked at United Airlines a number of years, and I've heard other panelists talk about airlines, and airlines get a lot of things wrong too. So when I was there, I always thought about let's get the basics correct. And so in this context, to me, even a simple basic thing is one spouse buys the car, they're on the record, and then another spouse schedules an appointment. Well, that's not two separate records. How do we associate it? And then even appointment reminders, don't send it to the wrong spouse, right? The spouse that's coming in. So that's a basic that, there's an example.
And Tully, this is something that you're pioneering here at the Niello Company. How do you see this really reshaping what happens in fixed operations?
I think when you look at what a CDP will do for us, is it's going to feed our BDC with outbound phone calls. I'm not a big email texter person, so we'll do some of that just for fun to make somebody happy. But honestly, making outbound phone calls when I can get an 80% answer rate, to me, if I have a golden record and we know that record's right, and we know that we're calling that person at the right time in the right place, to me, I could see us even being better than that. I think that is going to be the strongest part for us when we start doing those outbound campaigns.
And Dennis, sales typically has been where CRMs and DMSs have spent the majority of their focus, with fixed ops being an afterthought. How does this really reshape that collaboration between fixed and variable?
Well, quite frankly, our best customers in sales are the ones that service with our dealerships. They come back to us because our team in the service department, they do a good job selling customers the services and maintenance programs that they need to keep their car running, keep their car safe. And there's this relationship of trust that's built back in the service department. So, to be able to give the customer, the right message at the right time for fixed with this trust that's built over time, when it's time for them to pivot and get a new car, trade it in, whatever it is we're going to do, this is going to help us just be better situated to perform. But I think that the part that doesn't get talked about a lot is when we're serving up good data or good opportunities, whether it be to our BDC agents or our salespeople or whomever, if we're giving them a good opportunity and people are answering the phones and they're engaging with our communication, they feel better. They're performing at a high level, because we've all heard in sales, oh, that's a bad lead. I don't like this lead, or they never answer their phone. And when we're servicing good opportunities, they're going to be in a better mental state to perform at a higher level, and we all win.
Rob, this really also, the experience is at the heart of this, with what the customer experiences with this development.
Yeah, absolutely. I go back to the days when I wrote the first lines of code for the MyKarma product. for me, naturally, when I created the model, the customer was at the center of it, and there was no issue of there are going to be duplicate customer records because a customer entity is unique. It needs to map to the real world. And then when we integrated with different DMSs, we found out that, oh no, it's a vehicle is the center of it. So you can hang multiple customers and they're not unique customers. So we got into this whole issue of duplicate customers and all of that. In hindsight, that's a decision we felt like, we made the right decision by having everything centered around the customer. And even the communication going out, for instance, whether you're doing it for sales or you're doing it for service, you want it to hang off of the same thread. So somebody looking at it knows that, okay, we've had these sales-related touch points with the customer, these service-related touch points with the customer, these deferred services and all of that in one firm.
Matt, one of the biggest challenges that dealerships face right now is fragmented customer information across sales, service, parts, marketing. How does a CDP help create a more complete view of the customer?
Yeah, I think the industry has been saddled with tech bloat. You have a marketing automation platform, you have a CDP platform, you have an AI bolt-on platform, you have a CRM platform. Really, why isn't that all just consolidated into one singular system where you can do your marketing automation out of that CRM? You can cleanse and enrich that data so that you can understand the identity of that consumer all in one platform. So you've consolidated CDP and CRM, you've consolidated marketing automation into one platform. Wrap it around some AI, you now have an engagement platform. And, I think that's a tech vendor problem that was created in the industry that I think can quickly get consolidated to help with a customer experience. But if you tie the three departments, think about most CRMs will have your aftermarkets data in it. What did they buy? They have the service RO data in the CRM, and you have the sales and the history of the sales of the vehicle, what it was purchased and what price, and ideally it was what it was desk at. Combined all those, then just turn it around and make it customer engaging and say, I'm using this data to talk to my customers in the way that they want to be talked to. When you combine that with partnerships like with Dealer Pay, and you have all their payment history and you have all their payment information, now you have something that's really an end-to-end platform where you could say, hey, listen, I've tied this all together. It's all one platform talking to my customers. And then I'm going to push it back to my accounting system to make sure everything ticks and ties from an accounting perspective.
Tully, does that sound about right to you?
It does, and you sit there and think about the possibilities. And so I think the marketing possibilities are open. I think a lot of us see the marketing possibilities, making sure we market the right person. But think about one of the biggest hangups that we have. I just bought a car. I'm coming for my first service. I have a dinner ding or something. So did I buy anything in F&I? And what is the first thing the BDC says or anybody in service says? I don't know what you bought. The F&I guy comes in at 10 to 2, Tuesday through Thursdays. I don't know.
That's my schedule.
There's your schedule. And if you think about it, we all laugh. This is a problem on a daily basis. If I could just have the BDC, yes, Mr. Williams, you bought yourself an extended warranty. You also bought yourself dent and ding, and you bought yourself a maintenance package. Would you like us to fix that for you today? That right there is life-changing for a service department. And guess what happens when they buy great products? They stay in our dealership. And guess what happens when they trade the car in? It's already been recon for us. And guess what happens when they go back into the F&I for their second car? They buy the same stuff. This is just a perfect scenario for a car dealership, and the customer gets a great service because we know what's going on. And right now, service, we don't know what the hell's going on. And it's the hardest part for us. And this, to me, is a huge deal.
Dennis, you and Tully saw this early on.
Yeah, no, and I think he totally is spot on. Customers, one of the biggest complaints around F&I products, I bought stuff, I don't know what it is. I bought it, I never used it. Like, these objections have been around since Henry Ford was slinging Fords, 100 years ago. If it's all serviced, we want those customers to use those products.
Yes.
And why do we make it hard for them to use them? It's just self-sabotaging ourselves, and also serving it up to the service advisor, to the BDC. So, hey, when they're coming in for the appointment, hey, just keep in mind, you've got a ding, you got a tire wheel. So if there's anything on there, we're going to check it out and we're going to handle it for you. And that's like A1 customer experience. It doesn't get any better than that.
Because what is the worst thing they do? They come in they trade their car in, and the person says, oh, last time you bought, I bought what? Guess what they're not going to buy? They're not going to buy anything. And our goal is that we like to sell products. It helps the customer out, right, to protect those products. And our goal is for them to use those products. And then when they buy the next car, they buy the same products. It keeps the whole ecosystem going, ties them back to the dealership, drives retention is what we're all about.
Gaurav, and then David.
Yeah, from my vantage point, just again reiterating what the panelists here said. If I look at it from a end customer experience standpoint, and if I put myself in that shoe, and I walk into a dealership and they have no visibility, a 360 visibility on what I've done and with the dealership, I'm not going to want to come back to that dealership. And so when I look at it from that standpoint, to us, it made just logical sense to have the customer be the center of the world as opposed to a vehicle being the center of the world.
It'll be really interesting to see on this is that when is it going to be time for a MyKarma, an X time, whoever, actually not to pull it from the DMS, but pull it from our CDP? This is going to be the holy grail right there. That's going to be the awesome thing. And then you have to pay the ransom fee. I mean, this is, I'm sorry.
Dave, your thoughts?
I think an exciting opportunity is to take it out of a transaction to like value optimization. And so, last company, we were scheduling appointments for doctors. And so the same CPT code, which is medical op code, one visit could be a one and done. The next one could have 5 follow-ups. So they're not created equal. So how do we differentiate the experience or what available options are? And Tully, you were talking about a customer was 5 cars across the group, right? Like, how do you want to manage availability with that in mind there? I think that's the big opportunity in there.
One view, just absolutely.
Sarah, exciting times ahead.
There are, Ted, and this is so critical to the development of the industry and what incredible people we have with us today to make that happen.
I'm Ted Ings with Sarah Van Tine. We are here in Sacramento, California at the Niello Company with Tully Williams and Dennis Gingrich, and we are going to be right back.